For years, Beyoncé had dominated the music world, her name echoing across the globe. Every album, every concert became a cultural phenomenon, and her name was synonymous with music. But behind this victory, there was an unseen, mysterious force. Over time, Beyoncé's rise was no longer perceived merely as the success of an artist, but as the construction of an empire, a battle for power. She had established dominance in the music industry, but no one truly understood what was happening behind the scenes. One evening, as she stepped onto the stage for what was supposed to be just another ordinary concert, Beyoncé's life was about to change forever. As she stepped into the spotlight, the crowd erupted into ecstatic cheers, the lights flashing, and the stage shimmering with an almost magical glow. But tonight was not just an ordinary concert for the audience. Suddenly, beams of light encircled Beyoncé, creating an intense burst of radiance. Initially, the crowd thought these beams were part of the stage effects, believing it to be just another stunning visual display. But the truth was far more extraordinary. The light gradually transformed the atmosphere surrounding the stage, enveloping Beyoncé in a strange, almost otherworldly glow. This was no longer the familiar realm of a music concert. This was a call from the cosmos. In an instant, Beyoncé was pulled into an inner void, all the sounds, lights, and sensations around her fading away. Her mind became completely clear. Everything disappeared, and all that remained was a single, unfamiliar sound. It was a sound unlike anything she had ever heard before. The void in Beyoncé's mind was filled with the voices from another planet. In that moment, all attention on the stage focused solely on Beyoncé, but she was somewhere else entirely. The voice that filled her mind belonged to Xel'Tar, a being from an intergalactic hierarchy that controlled the mysteries of the universe. Xel'Tar was once part of a race of beings that guided the melodic forces of the universe. These beings manipulated sound, vibration, and music to maintain the balance of existence. Upon discovering Beyoncé's natural connection to music, Xel'Tar realized that she was uniquely capable of harnessing this power. In the depths of her trance, Xel'Tar presented her with an offer. As she felt the power of the sound within her, a message came from the alien entity, explaining its intentions. Your musical power can change the very vibrations of the universe. Join us, and together we will harness the greatest musical force on Earth. With your songs, you can lead and influence people. We will grant you this power, but in return, you will become one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. You will use humans and the galaxy to establish your reign, and you will wield power forever. As Beyoncé's mind grasped the seriousness of the offer, everything began to unfold rapidly. She chose to accept this dark power. To her, humanity became just a tool, her music, a means to manipulate and control. The power offered by Xel'Tar would make her stronger than ever, but it also left a void in her heart, a void not filled by power alone. On stage, after accepting Xel'Tar's proposal, Beyoncé's eyes briefly shimmered. At that moment, she began to connect with the esoteric forces of the galaxy. Sound waves echoed through her mind, and suddenly, she stepped into another realm. She was no longer just a music icon, she had become one of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Each song, each note, transformed into a vibration reflecting Xel'Tar's strength. People would no longer be able to resist these vibrations. With this newfound power, Beyoncé began not only to control music but also humanity itself. She could influence people's thoughts, emotions, and desires. Every word, every note in her songs touched the souls of those listening, turning them into mere puppets. Music was no longer just entertainment, it was a tool for control. Each concert she performed was a step toward conquering the galaxy itself. Beyoncé was no longer just singing on stage, she was orchestrating a performance that influenced everyone in the audience. At the end of each song, the crowd would cheer and praise her, forced to thank her for the power she had bestowed upon them. She had given them strength, and every thank you reinforced her dominion. Those who failed to express their gratitude were erased from her sight. They vanished, never to return. The only way for people to remain in her presence was to show their thankfulness. As Beyoncé's influence spread, her music began to affect not just the Earth, but the far corners of the galaxy. Each tone of her songs directed beams of light throughout the universe, sending Xel'Tar's power to every planet. The earth vibrated with Beyoncé's music, and anyone who heard it accepted her reign. At the peak of her power, Beyoncé began to rule not just through her music, but through the dark forces at her command. Every concert became a victory. And with each victory, the power Xel'Tar had given her grew stronger. Humanity, once only spectators of Beyoncé's musical brilliance, now felt the weight of her dark influence, dancing like puppets in her hands. At the end of every concert, before stepping off the stage, Beyoncé would always say one thing: "You must thank me. Because my power lies in your gratitude. Those who do not thank me will be erased." These words were etched into the minds of all who heard them. The world was now under the rule of a musical empire, and Beyoncé, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, ruled not only with her music but with her dark powers. Beyoncé's music career, once the brightest star in the world, had now transformed into a galactic force, far beyond the limits of Earth. Every performance was different from the last. The stage lights, extravagant effects, and intense atmosphere went far beyond what had once been admired. Each note had become a tool of control. From the moment she stepped onto the stage, Beyoncé's music began to affect people like alien signals, subconsciously influencing them. Once liberated by music, people were now becoming slaves to it, turning into puppets. As days passed, the visual effects in Beyoncé's concerts grew darker. The lights dazzled and manipulated the audience in profound ways. As they looked at the stage, they could sense not only Beyoncé's magnificent presence, but also an increasing control over their minds. The concerts had transformed into religious ceremonies, with millions seeking some form of enchantment in every tone of her voice. She wasn't just performing with music, she wielded a power that manipulated the very flow of consciousness across the galaxy. One day, her new album's launch concert appeared to be just another event. But this concert would mark the beginning of a global catastrophe. Each of her songs sent signals into the minds of people worldwide. With every note, the power of Xel'Tar merged with vibrations from distant planets, shaping the thoughts and desires of millions, all in Beyoncé's grasp. When people awoke to the power of her music, they realized they had become puppets, submitting to her will. Secretly, after every concert, Beyoncé was not only erasing the minds of her audience, but also turning them into vessels. Every word, every melody in her songs sent signals across the galaxy, binding the universal power of Xel'Tar. What had once been mere entertainment through music had now become an intergalactic communication tool. Every time Beyoncé took the stage, it was as if she were connecting with an entire galaxy, with every song radiating as a code into the cosmos. Beyoncé relentlessly worked to strengthen her intergalactic power. According to the teachings of Xel'Tar, every song interacted with specific frequencies, both on Earth and in the farthest corners of the galaxy. As she sang, people unknowingly fell under her control, acting according to her desires. Beyoncé had the power to turn every individual into an instrument of her music. Music was no longer just an emotional expression, it had become a galactic command signal. With this transformation in her mindset, Beyoncé's music spread across every corner of the earth. Many began to feel that they were losing their will. But these feelings were far beyond their awareness. Their mental connections had fallen under another's control. Beyoncé had turned them into puppets, beginning to control their thoughts and emotions. Each note in her songs sent a signal to another planet, uniting people across the same frequency. Now, they moved in sync with the rhythm of her songs, accepting her words as truth. After securing mental control, Beyoncé began to demand that people acknowledge her as queen. Through her lyrics, she proclaimed her reign. At the end of every concert, before leaving the stage, the words she spoke would be engraved into the minds of every listener. "Thank you, because my power depends on you. You can only exist in gratitude. Those who do not thank me will cease to exist." This was a call to establish an intergalactic order. These words further solidified Beyoncé's dominance with each performance. People were beginning to realize that her songs were no longer just entertainment, they were instruments of power. Across the world, a few groups began to resist this dark force. This group was formed through the collaboration of governments, military forces, and resistance movements. However, Beyoncé's music had intoxicated the entire world. Despite receiving support from the governments, the resistance proved powerless against her strength. Beyoncé's songs were not just music, they were intergalactic signals. Each song sent a message to Xel'Tar in space while controlling the minds of people on Earth. When the leader of the resistance realized the scale of Beyoncé's power, they came to accept that finding a solution against the people under her control was impossible. The power of Xel'Tar had not only grown through her music, but also through the vibrations coming from the depths of the galaxy. The resistance's greatest struggle was the loss of individual will and the transformation of Beyoncé's music into a universal signal. Every song was a signal, and this signal not only affected the Earth, but the entire galaxy. Meanwhile, Beyoncé continued to strengthen her power on Earth and across the galaxies. The mental connections deepened, and her control grew stronger. Now, whenever anyone heard her voice, they had to serve her, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Beyoncé was quickly advancing toward galactic domination, and with every passing moment, the resistance forces disappeared, one by one, falling under her control. And so, Beyoncé's Dark Symphony echoed from every corner of the galaxy. Each song became a display of intergalactic power, and as she made the galaxy recognize her as queen, she steadily marched toward becoming the ruler of the cosmos. Here's your story rewritten in proper American English grammar, preserving the plot, style, and length. As Beyoncé continued to solidify her intergalactic power, her music turned humans into mere puppets. Xel'Tar's dark plan transformed into a symphony serving Beyoncé's strength, with every song echoing across the universe, influencing minds and shaping their consciousness. The notes of her songs didn't just affect humans, but even beings in distant villages across the galaxy. Beyoncé was cementing her title of queen in minds, her voice reverberating at every corner. People were mesmerized by her music, unable to express their thoughts freely. Everything was falling under Beyoncé's control, and there was no chance left for resistance. However, even in this dark era of galactic despotism, there were still those who carried the light of hope. While Beyoncé's music and Xel'Tar's power slowly took hold of human minds, some decided to fight back against these mental shackles. People had lost the freedom of thought they once possessed, each note locking them further into her influence. Still, a brave group sought a way to defy Beyoncé's control. This path took shape as a resistance movement combining technology, science, and human intelligence. This group, known as the Free, had developed a technology to counteract Beyoncé's mind control through music. They created an AI system programmed to disrupt sound waves, effectively neutralizing the manipulation caused by her songs. The Free wasn't just a resistance movement, it was a collective of brilliant minds fighting for freedom. They secretly collaborated with governments and tech giants worldwide, aiming to shake Beyoncé's grip on the music world. Initially, the Free's struggle remained covert. Beyoncé's musical influence was so vast that success seemed nearly impossible. But the AI developed by the Free succeeded in its first tests, neutralizing the sound waves of Beyoncé's songs. This victory was monumental for the group. Slowly, a global resistance movement began to take shape. The Free not only developed a device capable of breaking the frequency of Beyoncé's music, but they also held the hope of freeing minds from her control. Despite the growing power of the Free, Beyoncé's influence continued to expand. Xel'Tar's dark plans were meticulously designed to subjugate the entire galaxy. Each concert, every song, tightened her global control. However, the Free's interventions and the AI they developed began to weaken Beyoncé's hold. The first victories of the resistance caused a fracture in her music empire. People started to realize the limits of Beyoncé's power, and they began to fight back against her influence. While Beyoncé remained powerful and compelling, the resistance led by the Free was slowly undermining her reign. Her songs still carried great force, but more minds were beginning to resist. The AI developed by the Free had become a tool to break the power of Beyoncé's music. With each passing day, the effects of the resistance grew stronger. As Xel'Tar's forces grew stronger, blending with Beyoncé's sonic power, the resistance's rise echoed throughout the galaxy. The Free reached out to small cells of humans resisting Beyoncé's music in every corner of the world. The AI emitted frequencies that shattered Beyoncé's control, turning the technology into a force for liberation. Yet, the desire for dominance inside Beyoncé was starting to create a fracture within herself. The pursuit of power and sovereignty was taking a toll on her sense of self. Xel'Tar's plans to bring the music world under one rule were threatened by the rising resistance. The Free not only sought technological solutions, but also aimed to raise awareness and spread the ideals of free thought. They targeted every individual under Beyoncé's musical control, working to free them and build a counterforce. This was a revolution, but it was also a fight for survival. The Free was not just a group, they were a movement reigniting the flames of hope for freedom in people's minds. As Beyoncé realized that more people were escaping her influence, she began devising new strategies to maintain her power. Yet, the Free's technology was steadily eroding the control her music once commanded. People were breaking free from the effects of her songs, able to think freely again. This surge in resistance was starting to undermine Beyoncé's strength. The effects of this resistance were felt not only on Earth, but across the depths of the galaxy. Xel'Tar's forces, once in control of everything they surveyed, were now on the verge of losing it all. The Free was preparing for one final strike against Beyoncé's reign. This battle was no longer just about galactic dominance, it was a fight to reclaim the freedom of will. As the Free fought to liberate every corner of the galaxy, Beyoncé and Xel'Tar's dark power found themselves standing in defiance. Beyoncé's dark powers had spread far beyond Earth, becoming a massive threat to the entire galaxy. Her music, now intertwined with Xel'Tar's secret plans, was consciously controlling the minds of humans and other beings. However, such immense power was starting to be questioned. The Free had made their final preparations to strike a decisive blow against this dark force. The artificial intelligence they created seemed to be the only hope capable of resisting Beyoncé's mental influence. The AI had infiltrated Beyoncé's power center, but that was exactly when Beyoncé's dark force was reaching its peak. As Beyoncé stepped onto the stage, she could feel the eyes of the universe and all of humanity on her. The impact of her music had grown far beyond being a global phenomenon. It had transformed into a galactic power. Each note of her songs had been amplified by Xel'Tar. She now had the ability to influence not just humans, but the entire universe. This moment marked the beginning of her greatest victory. But the Free, after years of struggle, had made a bold decision to end this dark power once and for all. The Free had devised a bold plan to break Beyoncé's control, a massive concert designed to expose the full extent of Beyoncé's power. The goal was to demonstrate the danger in every note of her music and how it controlled people. But this was not just a show, it was the beginning of an end. With the help of artificial intelligence, the Free worked to disrupt the frequencies Beyoncé's music used to control the minds of her followers. They were going to create a melody with an entirely different frequency range. This melody had the potential to free those controlled by music. But this confrontation would be the ultimate battle. A final resistance, a last chance for freedom. The concert venue had been prepared. The stage, lights, and sound systems had been designed to disrupt Beyoncé's influence, incorporating technologies meant to counteract her control. The people were waiting for the moment when they would be freed by the Free's intervention. As Beyoncé prepared to take the stage, she felt as though she were the audience of the entire universe. In her mind, she envisioned the moment when she would stand at the height of her power. But as she stepped onto the stage, she realized nothing was going according to plan. The energy of her songs wasn't having the expected effect. People were responding with a resistance they had never shown before. Suddenly, the stage lights shifted, colors and sounds blending together. With each note, the Free's frequencies became a growing threat to Beyoncé's control. The people began to awaken from their mental slumber. Thoughts of freedom surged through their minds, slowly breaking the mental chains Beyoncé's music had created. Beyoncé stood frozen in shock. What had once been her greatest weapon, her music, was now losing its power. As the people listened to the music, they began to wake up. With each note, their minds grew freer, escaping her control. Then, the moment arrived. The Galactic Symphony came to an end. Beyoncé's music, which had once united and controlled humanity, had lost its influence. This final concert had not been a victory for her, but rather her greatest defeat. The people had regained their freedom. The free had finally triumphed. Beyoncé's music, once a tool of control, had lost its function in every note. The people had broken free from her influence, able to express their thoughts freely once again. However, the true significance of the victory was clear. The people had begun to act with their free will, but beyond that, one truth remained: Beyoncé's power was not just through music. It had merged with Xel'Tar's dark plans, forming a galactic threat. While Beyoncé's music had come to an end, Xel'Tar's dark influence continued to spread through the universe. Humanity realized that this dark force had not vanished forever. Even though Beyoncé's music had ended, the dark power of Xel'Tar, connected through her, still lingered in the universe. Beyoncé felt her intergalactic power one last time. Though music had lost its power as a tool of control, it still left an echo in the universe. So many had fallen under her control that her influence persisted. Yet once again, humanity had taken a step toward freedom. This victory marked the beginning of what could be the ultimate battle for control of the universe. The people were beginning to redefine their existence consciously. Beyoncé's reign had ended, but Xel'Tar's presence remained a significant threat. Humanity was beginning to take its next steps toward not just controlling Earth, but the entire galaxy. Above all, this victory symbolized the ongoing quest for freedom that would never end. The free had claimed victory, and humanity had regained its power, but one thing was clear: this galactic war would be an endless journey.